Hello, in this video I'm going to explain how to create and set up a Houdini package file. A Houdini package file is a convenient way of setting environment variables and creating variables for commonly used paths. If you aren't familiar with these type of variables, you still may be familiar with variables such as $hip or $job. So for example, in this currently saved Houdini scene, if I add a file node, let's come inside and load a file. I'm going to type $hip, or you can select it from the favorites here on the left hand side. And next to my Houdini file, I have a geo folder with an FBX. So I'm going to hit accept. Just frame this in the viewport. So now that I've loaded this 3D model, just expand it a little bit, I'm going to middle mouse click on this geometry file label, and we can see that path resolved from $hip to the path to where this Houdini file is currently saved. And if we look in File Explorer, here is that hip file that I currently have open, along with the geo folder and the loaded FBX. So this variable is a convenient way of referencing and loading files into Houdini. But also now, if I want to share or move this file along with the referenced files, the paths to the files are maintained, as they are relative to the Houdini file. But what if I want to work within a larger file structure? Then one option is to use $job, which is a variable that references the project directory. This can be set from the File menu, so we come to File, down to Set Project, and now I can navigate to a directory to use for my project. So I have a Project Pegasus folder here. I'm going to select this folder and hit Accept. Now if I load a file, I can use this $job. We've got a convenient shortcut here, and this is now referencing that project folder. And in the geo folder, I have some files which I can load. Again, if I middle mouse click on this geometry file label, we can see that $job variable resolved to the path to that project. So within this project folder structure, I could store digital assets such as textures and 3D models, as well as other Houdini files and scenes. And I can use this $job variable to reference those files. And that keeps all of those files relative to this project folder structure. However, these variables are set from within the Houdini scene. So what if I need to use variables outside of this Houdini scene, such as in a digital asset or when using Houdini Engine in Unreal? Or maintaining project or studio-wide variables with a large team? Houdini packages offer a convenient way of defining custom variables, similar to how we are using this $job or $hip variable. Houdini packages are JSON files that can be placed into the Houdini user preference folder, which is most commonly stored in your documents folder. So here I am in my documents folder. I have a Houdini 19.5 folder and a Houdini 20 folder. I'm going to be demoing this in Houdini 20, but the process in Houdini 19.5 is much the same. The package file needs to be placed into a folder called Packages. If the Packages folder doesn't exist, then you can make one. So I'm going to create a new folder and call this Packages. And inside, I'm going to create a new text file. I'm going to call this pegasusdemo.json. And we're changing the file name extension, so I'm going to click yes. Now I'm going to right click and edit this file. Within this file, I'm going to use a few different keywords to define this package. You can find out more information about these keywords on the Houdini documentation. I'm going to begin by adding an open and close parentheses. So that's an open and close curly bracket. And then between these two brackets, I am going to write out these keywords. The first keyword I'm going to add is hpath. Hpath is a keyword for the Houdini path. The Houdini path variable tells Houdini where to look for files such as assets. So when Houdini launches, Houdini checks this Houdini path variable for a list of directories from which it can load things like digital assets. For example, when Houdini launches, it will check this Houdini 20 directory for folders such as OTLS or packages and load the contents. For example, in this OTLS folder, I have a digital asset called example Houdini digital asset. And if I check inside Houdini, I can see Houdini has loaded that example Houdini digital asset when it launched. But what if I have a library of digital assets in another location that I want to be loaded? For instance, here I have a library of Project Pegasus digital assets that I want Houdini to load when it launches. I have those digital assets stored in a folder called OTLS. So what I can do is I can copy this path and add it to our package file. I need to place it between two quotation marks, and I need to change the backslashes to forward slashes. Now I'm going to save this and relaunch Houdini. Now in the network view, if I right click and look at our menu, I can see I have those Pegasus digital assets. So when Houdini launched, it checked this package file that was in the Houdini preference folder and searched this path for those digital assets. It's important to note that the digital assets must be stored in a folder called OTLS. Houdini knows to check this particular folder for digital assets. In Houdini, if I come up to the plus icon at the end of these tabs and come to New Pane tab type and down to the bottom, I can see I have a Package Browser tab. And here I can check to see what packages Houdini is loading. It also gives us information about the package. And I can see that I have this path added to the Houdini path variable. I can also right click and edit this package from within Houdini. Next, I'm going to create some custom project variables. First of all, I'm going to add a comma on the end of this line and begin a new line, and add env, which is the keyword for the environment variables. Add a colon, and then open and close two square brackets. And between these two square brackets, I'm going to define the two different variables. I'm then going to add two parentheses, followed by a comma, and then between these two parentheses, define my first variable. The first variable is going to be called Pegasus demo, followed by a colon, and then I'm going to add this same path that I'm using here. So I'm copying that along with the two quotation marks and pasting that after the colon. Be sure that you are following along the same formatting, as it's very important in order for this package file to work. And now I'm going to hit apply. When I hit apply, you can see here Houdini has reloaded this package file, and if I check under the environment variables, I can see it's now defined this Pegasus demo variable. I'm going to hit accept, and if I drop down a file node, I can type $Pegasus demo. If I middle mouse click, I can see it resolved to that path that's defined in the package file. We use this variable as a team when saving our Houdini digital assets, and I'm going to demonstrate that now. I am just going to create a null, place this inside a subnet, and call this Pegasus example digital asset. And right click, come down to create digital asset, and come down to save to. Currently it's saving into the user preference directory. I'm going to set this to a custom file path and replace this part of the path with $Pegasus demo and hit create. That's launched the type properties window, and I can see it saved this digital asset into this Pegasus demo directory, as defined in this Houdini package. And if I check inside this Pegasus demo OTLS folder, I can see that Pegasus example digital asset in that directory. And remember, you must save these digital assets into a folder called OTLS or HDAS for Houdini digital assets in order for Houdini to load those digital assets. So by defining this Pegasus demo variable, it's a convenient way to save digital assets into a specific directory. So that covers loading digital assets, as well as using variables to save the digital assets into the digital asset library folder. But what about working with a wider project folder structure? For example, here I'm loading in an FBX file that is in the project folder structure. The path is currently an absolute path. If I was to share this Houdini file and the project folder structure with another member of the team, they might place the files in a different directory, and then the Houdini file would be unable to locate the file. So what I can do is create a variable in the package that references this project folder, much in the same way that you can use $job to define a project directory. So I'm going to come back to the package browser and to the Pegasus demo project and edit this package. I'm now going to create a variable called Pegasus demo project. I need to place this between two parentheses, and I'm going to add that variable Pegasus demo project, again between two quotation marks, followed by a colon, and then copy the path to the project folder. Again, these need to be between two quotation marks, and I need to change this backslash to a forward slash. And again, Houdini has reloaded this package file. And now I'm going to amend this path. I'm going to change this C drive project Pegasus to $Pegasus demo project. And if I come back to the scene view, I've still got the FBX loaded, and if I middle mouse click on this label, you can see that variable changed to the path that's defined in the package file. So this means I can share this project with somebody else. They can add this package to their user preference folder. They can even amend this path to point to a different location if they need to store the project somewhere else on disk, and then use this variable to load and save files within the same folder structure. But I'm also going to save this as a Houdini digital asset and demonstrate that these variables also work with Houdini Engine. So I'm going to place this file node within a subnet and call this load file. I'm going to right click on it again, create digital asset. I'm going to place it into the Pegasus submenu, and I want to save it to the Pegasus digital asset library. And hit create. And again, we can see this has saved it into the Pegasus demo folder. I'm going to add a parameter. Let's come inside this subnet, and I'm going to drag and drop this geometry file into the type properties window. And under the basic tab, I want to set the maximum inputs to 0. Click accept, and then right click, save node type to save those changes to disk. Now I'm going to launch Unreal and load a blank scene file and test this digital asset in Unreal. Now that Unreal is launched and I'm in a blank scene, I want to import that Houdini digital asset that I just made. So I'm going to come to the contents browser, right click, and come up to import. And I'm going to select that load file digital asset which I just made and open it. Now that digital asset has imported into Unreal, I'm going to place it into the scene. And as soon as that's done, Houdini Engine should launch If it doesn't, you can come up to the Houdini Engine menu and click Create Session. But you can see Houdini Engine has run that digital asset and it's loaded in the FBX file that was referenced in that digital asset. And if we take a look at the parameters of this digital asset, you can see here that $Pegasus demo project variable. So this demonstrates that Houdini Engine is also loading this package file and using those variables that I defined. So hopefully you can begin to see how useful these variables can be in organizing and referencing project files, especially when working with a team. Something that I'd like to point out, here in the digital asset interface, we can see that it states the path variable. But if I come over to this button here and then select a different file, we can see I'm no longer using that path variable. And I'm unable to use that path variable. A solution to this, if I come back over to Houdini, is to change this parameter from file to string. And I'm going to save node type to save that change to disk, come back to Unreal, and I'm going to click Rebuild on the digital asset. That will re-import and reload this digital asset. And now, rather than this being a file path, it's simply a string. And then I can change this file from this cart to the barrel. And this way I'm still able to use this $Pegasus demo project variable within this digital asset. So that's just a useful tip. Okay, so I have the package file set up, and I can share the project file structure with the team and this package file to define those variables. But users will need to edit each of these paths if they want to place the project folder in a different location, and updating these paths individually is a bit of an inconvenience. So I can make it easier. To begin with, this Pegasus demo path and this Houdini path variable are the same. So what I can actually do is replace this path with this Pegasus demo variable. So I'm going to type $Pegasus demo and hit apply. Houdini has saved and reloaded that package, and if I check the environment variables, we can see that the Houdini path is still pointing towards this Pegasus demo directory, but is referencing that path from the Pegasus demo variable. Furthermore, the path defined in the Pegasus demo project variable is also within this Pegasus demo variable. So what I can do is replace this part of the path with the Pegasus demo project variable and hit apply. Again, Houdini will save and reload this package. And again, I can check the environment variables. I can see the Pegasus demo and the Houdini path are still correct, as well as this Pegasus demo project. So now the user only needs to update this single path to point towards the Pegasus project. And this will update the path in the Pegasus demo variable, as well as add the Pegasus demo path to the Houdini path variable. So that makes it more convenient for the users to update and change. In the next video, I'm going to talk more about the folder structure that we used during the development of Project Pegasus.